Is your website sabotaging your success without you even realizing it? There's a really big chance it is, because after looking at hundreds of websites and their actual conversion data, I've found that most service businesses are throwing thousands of dollars at the wrong problems, and it's killing their sales every day. So let's look at what actually matters to your potential customers. And trust me, it's not what your web designer wants you to be focusing on. In this video, I'm going to show you what parts of your website actually impact your bottom line, why the things that most designers focus on could be driving clients away, and the simple changes you can make today to transform your website from a digital brochure into a client-generating machine that actually grows your business. The best way to really understand what's holding you back actually comes from a study that Google did that pretty much changed how we think about websites. They found something pretty shocking, that most people make up their minds about your website, and by extension your business, in just 50 milliseconds. That's faster than you can blink. Maybe even more interesting, they tested all kinds of different website designs to see which ones people liked best. And guess what? The websites that were super simple and looked familiar, the ones that followed the normal patterns that people expect, those were the big winners. People stayed on them longer and they liked them way more. The fancy websites with tons of stuff happening, those actually pushed people away. And once someone decided they didn't like a complicated site, they almost never gave it a second chance. They just clicked away and they were gone forever. This is huge because it means all that extra fancy stuff that designers just love to shove in there, it's not just unnecessary, it's actually hurting your business and scaring away your customers. I saw this disconnect firsthand back in my agency days. So clients would hire me to build these high converting websites based on psychology and persuasive content, only to start saying things like, let's fill in this empty space with something, anything. And I saw this really cool parallax scrolling site, let's do that. And before we knew it, what was supposed to be a really powerful client generating tool had become an expensive art project with a conversion rate crashing down towards zero. And design agencies are usually the first ones to fall into this trap. Their websites look great and win awards, just ask them, and they can be pretty fun to look at, but try to actually use one and you're gonna see the problem right away. Most visitors just can't figure out how to navigate them, let alone find the simple contact button. They've sacrificed client getting function in favor of having a cool website. Now you might be thinking, but my website isn't cool or fancy, so this doesn't even apply to me. Well, not so fast. If your site's already impressive, you might be losing clients because of all those fancy features. But if your site's basic or you're planning one soon, you can avoid all these expensive mistakes from the start. So whether your website's a design masterpiece or just made from a simple template, what I'm about to share with you is going to boost your results, because it's not about how beautiful your site is. It's about whether it actually converts visitors into clients. And there are 5 major problems that happen when you cross that line from functional into fancy. First, beautiful websites with lots of animations, graphics, and fancy effects distract from the core goals that you actually want them to do, whether that's buying something, signing up, or contacting you. So they've done these eye tracking studies that show that visitors will often click on decorative images that don't actually do anything. And these are called dead clicks because they're literally a dead end. People are drawn to these flashy elements instead of your buttons or forms. I've seen these heat maps myself where visitors are clicking everywhere except the actual call to action button. And it's because the button's competing with 15 other visually interesting things on the page. Most web designers never look at this data, so they just keep making the same mistakes over and over again. The second issue is that complex designs with too many elements overwhelm visitors' brains, and no, this isn't just my opinion, it's scientifically just how our brains are wired. Research shows that humans can only handle 5 to 9 pieces of information at once. And fancy websites easily go over that limit with too many images, buttons, text blocks, and navigation options. My friend Andy at Orbit Media analyzed thousands of websites, and he found that the highest converting ones had 40% fewer page elements than the poor performing ones. And this relates directly to something called Hick's Law, which says that the more choices people have, the longer it takes them to decide, and they usually just leave instead. And the third problem is when websites focus too much on looking cool, they become harder to use. And when something's hard to use, people don't use it. As web design expert Jared Spool said, the best websites aren't about design, they're about invisible design. The moment someone notices your design is often the moment you failed. Your brain prefers things that are easy to understand. This is called cognitive fluency. So simple websites give your brain less work to do, which makes visitors more likely to stay and take action. Aspen Dental saw their appointment bookings go up 28% after they simplified their navigation and booking process. They didn't add more design elements, they just made things clearer and easier. Fourth, those fancy design features will often break or look just really bad on phones and tablets. All those hover effects, the complicated layouts, and the visual tricks that work on desktop can be completely unusable on mobile. And this matters more than ever because most web traffic now comes from mobile devices. So if your site looks amazing on desktop, but terrible on mobile, you're losing at least half of your potential customers right away. And I've seen clients spend thousands on desktop effects that 70% of their visitors never even see because they're on their phones. That's literally throwing money away. Plus, beautiful websites with lots of images, videos, and animations take so much longer to load. People judge your website in milliseconds, so if it doesn't load quickly, they're just gonna leave. Even a 1-second delay can reduce conversions by 7%. So for a service business getting 100 leads a month, that's 7 potential clients gone because your site was just too pretty to load fast. What's even more interesting here is that Google's research shows that visually complex websites are consistently rated as less beautiful anyway. So all that extra stuff isn't even achieving what you think it is. So what's the solution here? I'm not saying your website should look like it was built in 1995. You just need what I call good enough design. Our brains have these mental templates for different types of websites. So when a site matches this template, it's just easier for our brain to process, and that's kind of like a shortcut to people trusting it more. For service businesses, this typically means a hero image at the top, 3-column benefits section, clear services section, and simple navigation. When a website tries too hard to stand out or be extra fancy, visitors notice, but not in a good way. It feels off to them, and people end up rejecting it without even realizing why. But when your site follows those familiar patterns, your visitors can skip, trying to figure out how it all works and just jump right into your message. LegalZoom saw their conversions jump by 372% just by making their homepage clearer and easier to understand. They didn't add flashy effects, they removed the distractions and got right to business. I personally recommend having about 5 pages at most, focusing only on the pages that help your visitors become customers. So important things like about us, pricing, testimonials, and then leave your blog or your job listings out of that main menu entirely. And you definitely want to stay away from those huge mega menus. Stan's Heating, Air, and Plumbing in Austin redesigned their website to make it a lot simpler for customers to find what they need. And as a result of that, their lead conversion rate rose by 23%, and they saw a 300% increase in organic leads over 3 years. But let's talk about white space, the empty space between elements. This is what my clients were always trying to fill in with something because they thought they weren't, getting their money's worth with empty space. But white space actually helps people understand your website better by 20%. It gives the eye a place to rest, and it helps your visitors focus on what matters. Think of it just like breathing room for your content. Without it, everything feels cluttered and stressful. And you also want quality images that support your message. So use photos that show your service in action or happy customers. You can even use AI these days to generate really nice looking images if you need to. Just keep in mind that your images should always have a purpose. They shouldn't just be decoration. And be sure to optimize them so that they load fast on your website. The best websites are the ones that just get out of the way and let your offer shine through. And that can be easier said than done. And the truth is, there are certain things your website needs and some things that almost every service business needs to take off their website as soon as possible to start automating lead gen and getting all the clients that they can handle. So I've got you covered there in my newly refreshed free masterclass, How to Build a Client-Generating Website That Sells Your Services For You. And that includes my 4 website secrets to predictably generate leads and clients while you sleep. So this is the stuff that's going to turn your website from a passive brochure to a round-the-clock salesperson that you never even have to pay. So it just brings in clients every single day. Click right here to save your seat, and I can't wait to dig into this stuff with you. It's the best hour you're going to spend on your business all year. So click here and let's get your website into fighting shape together.